Okay, I'm in.
Okay, you guys should be in now.
Okay, I'm in. Can you hear me, Keaton?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, I'm in. Al isn't.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, he's in now.
Oh, and there's Julian.
All right, I think we're good.
Hello.
Great.
All right, thank you, Keaton.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to turn my video off, but the meeting.
All right, I'm gonna hang up, Al.
Thanks for letting me know, guys.
All right, thanks, Keaton.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody. You have to love technology.
Well, I love it when I don't have to get in the shower and get dressed for a meeting.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I'm dressed, but I just.
Yeah, I had a WebEx conference call earlier today, and I did not do video.
Nice.
Well, they didn't need to see me. They needed to see my presentation. That's what they needed to see. But they're all different. Like Zoom is different than WebEx. TeamViewer is different. So I've used all of them.
Yeah, I used the what's the Facebook Messenger one?
I haven't done that one yet.
Yeah, I do. My brother set that up for a couple meetings with my parents on Christmas and Thanksgiving. It worked pretty well.
Good.
Well, it's 6:33. I know Jim Lyon isn't coming. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
hear you, Dan. Yeah.
And I don't know about Rich, but we do have a quorum, right? Yeah, it's the four of us.
Mhm.
Oh no, Matt, are you there, Matt?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, all right, very good. We don't have you're not up on video, but that's fine.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I have a lot going on over here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
understood. Well, we can wait till one more minute, I suppose, see if Rich shows up. Al, you're the host now.
Oh, okay.
I saw a great meme floating around on New Year's Eve. It said, "I haven't decided what I'm wearing to my living room for New Year's Eve yet, and that's if I show up at all."
About the size of it.
All right, we can get going. I'll call the meeting to order. 6:35. Thank you all for being here. Just a quick update. This is basically just this is filled with updates and kind of a little bit of pre-planning for the spring planting, which I suppose we'll handle a little differently now that we have a little bit more manpower on the streets, I suppose. But all the trees went in. They finished maybe about a week and a half ago. We had the weather on our side, and they chipped away at it until they were done, and they got them all in. It was 56 total, I believe. So nice job, everyone, on that. That was it's impressive to pull off in a year like this, especially in the winter months. So they, I don't know if anybody saw, I took some pictures of the, where they had them, in the healing beds per se in, South Long, the side yard. So I'll send those out. Not that anything official there, but it's just kind of a neat picture. The trees went in on Union. I know that Nick and Rich Sweeney and I went out there the one day when they were planting them. That project got bounced all over the place over time. You know that, Al. That started what, 3 years ago? They were gonna let us plant trees, and they weren't. Then they were. Then they weren't. And then we finally nailed it down with the state for the east side of the street, and then along came the gas company and said, we don't want you planting trees anywhere near our lines. And Ben pulled the municipality takes the jurisdiction on that one card and pulled it off. So the trees are on the east side of Union. Al, this is something for you. We found this out, and Nick, you can chime in on this anytime. But Ben was telling us that we were told, and I don't know why the state would have any jurisdiction on this, but they wouldn't have any problem with us planting trees on the west side inside the sidewalks. But they would be on private property. So essentially we would be planting trees and then signing off on them and washing our hands of them. So I guess the decision would be, does the village really want Union to be symmetrically tree lined, with the idea of planting trees on private property and then walking away for them? So the benefit for the village would be the fact that Union is treed. But we're essentially in an extraordinary circumstance. We wouldn't do that in any other, and I wouldn't say that the village should do that in any other situation, but this situation's a little different. So this is something to at least chew on. Nick, how many would you say there probably are there? I mean, 10, 12?
No more than a dozen, Dan.
Okay. So, at about 100, 150 to $200 a tree for, the bigger balled and burlapped. I mean, that's the math we have to do. So what value do we put on that? This is probably, this would be a discussion at a village board level.
Mhm.
It would have to be understood that this is really the only case where that would happen. But essentially with the Main Street trees, when we plant those, any of our money, that was essentially not our road, but they weren't going to necessarily spend the money on tree lining Main Street. So, we took the bull by the horns there.
Mhm.
And, it's our street. It's our streetscape, and it looks much better for it. So it's just something to consider for Union. Union's road diet has worked out quite well. I only know of maybe 1 or 2 complaints coming from people since that happened, through traffic and safety, and getting trees on that other side would be a nice thing. Now, there aren't utility lines on that side, so we could actually plant some big trees there too. So it's something to think about.
I have 2 questions for that, so that I can take it to the board. One is, why won't the state let us plant them in the right of way?
Because the space between the curb and the sidewalk isn't 5 feet. And they want 5 feet on state roads. They want a 5-foot width in that area for snow storage.
Okay, so on our side, on the east side, we were able to get them in.
Yeah, just.
Okay,
In fact, it changed the design of that project a little bit because we tried to squeeze some in there, tried to sneak some in there, I guess, down near closer to Maine.
mhm,
And that's why there weren't any trees planted from Garden Parkway extension to Main Street because of the width of that area.
okay. So the other question I have is I thought the west side was the town. That was the town half.
No,
It's
no.
still such-
yeah, it runs a little funny there, and at the actual corner of Main and Union, and then it goes to Village, and then the line doesn't stagger there at the street. It ends. What's the name of that apartment building, Nick? Do you remember?
The Canterbury condominiums there. Just, I can see it when I'm there, but Ben pointed out to us where it ends. So I was under the same suspicion, Al, that side of the street was all town, but Ben verified and explained it, just what Dan said, that
Okay.
property is still in the village.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only issue it would be is Chip might bring up from a legal perspective. As you know, we can't gift things, so it could be seen as a gift that we're giving a tree. So it could get into one of those situations and a legality of, could they come back to the village and say in 20 years, the tree breaks and falls in their house or whatever? I don't know.
Right.
That would be the two things from a legal perspective that we might have to deal with.
Well, that's ultimately why it needs to go to a board level discussion. But if it's signed off on, I mean, apparently this isn't uncommon. I want to say Springville did something like this at one point too.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I do remember someone saying in a village officials meeting how that situation like that came about.
Okay.
But yeah, if you could bring it and then, kind of keep us posted on that. It's not a rush, but it would, be a good project for next fall, maybe,
Okay. Yep, I got it on my list.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So when anybody gets a chance, go up on Union. It's pretty impressive. That east side looks great. That might, and anybody that wants it on the village board should take a walk out there too, and then you could, picture it on the other side, just on the other side of the sidewalk. And Union, I mean, I have to believe that Union was tree lined at one time, and that in the degradation of roads like that over time as they turned into highways, that's how we got the 4-lane highway with 45 miles an hour and
Yeah.
wide open sky, right, cutting right on the edge of the village, and which really should have, and nobody was
It
planning.
feels so much better with the changes to the road. So sometimes I intentionally take it just to see it again, because I think it's so much better.
Oh yeah. I mean, you still get people speeding down it,
Yeah. of
But-
course.
but with the speeders before, there was always someone right next to them. So
Right.
it was dangerous for any pedestrian or fellow driver or anything. It's just it's a much better behaving road, I
Yes,
think.
I agree.
Okay, I probably should go. Did everybody get the email I sent early, just a little, I don't know, maybe about 4:00? It was, Ben sent one as well with the list of the removals.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have mine up. I don't want to click away from the screen because I don't want to blow anything up
You
here.
want me to pull it up?
Sure, if you could.
Yeah, let me grab that.
There was two. Ben, Ben sent two attachments.
You want me to pull those up? Is that what you want to pull up?
One was the costs of the removals, and then the other one was the addresses of the removals.
This is $30,000. Let's see if we can take it out.
That's on the,
The mythicals are sold and then they took it out.
I think you sent, the first one was the removals. That was in your email,
Okay,
right? So let me pull up the two attachments that he did. Download those quickly. Oh, he did send a list. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I can't find the list. Well, I have the actual, the attachment that Ben sent, at least the first one.
Yeah. Let me, I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second.
With the costs.
Right.
Let's see.
What? If well, if everybody has it up, it's no big deal. It's in your emails. The the cost, we're right about where we were before, maybe a little bit more, but the response time that we have and the working relationship, as Ben told me, is just much better. They're much more responsive. They've taken a couple down in an emergency situation so far over this last year, where Right Frontier was pretty good with it, but Right Front, we were like we were sort of turning into a side job for Right Frontier, where AJ's is we are part of a contract through piggybacking with Amherst. So it's a much better situation, and they're charging per by the diameter, and some of them are cheaper and some of them are a lot more, but with Right Frontier it was a daily thing, by the day, and he said sometimes that would be you never know what you were going to get. So
You guys see my screen?
yeah, it's up on the screen.
Okay.
So I can only see the top. I don't know.
I'll scroll down. I just want to make sure you can see it before I went.
So I just wanted everybody to see it, just so you have an idea what we're looking at. I mean, those are pretty cheap when it comes to big tree removal. And they worked out a deal where the village does the stumping, which is no big deal. We have the equipment for that. We spent the money on the equipment for that, so we should be using it. One of the things that was sad for me to see go was the I don't know if it's not on this list, but that ash behind the VFW that tanked and was falling apart, I guess, and that had to go. We had our eyes on that as for a removal anyway. Remember, Nick? And then we weren't sure if it was, we couldn't determine whose tree that actually was, it turned out. And then we did find out it was ours. It's in that very odd part of that lot that's basically fill, right? Behind their parking lot. So yeah, that had to go, unfortunately. But the I can't find, I should again, I'm not gonna screw around with this.
Here's-
I don't want to disconnect myself. Um, the list was what, 12 to 15 total. And there's a second
Okay, when
page
you're
to
looking
that.
for it, yeah. It was that second document.
Yeah, yeah. So it was, yeah, it was so 13, 14 trees. So
21, actually.
oh, was it 21 total? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right here.
Yeah,
Well, we were behind the 8 ball on that. We were, we were behind on that.
Right.
So I would say we're caught up now.
so the North Cayuga, it shows 0 in the quantity on the North Cayuga tree.
Oh, that's right. I was looking at I was looking at the wrong column, Al, thank you.
No, you're good. I was asking really why that is in there, and but it says 0, so is that free? That's not needed.
Well, I'm not sure. That he sent me a list in just a typed list in the
Yeah, in the
email, but I can't, excuse me, I can't get to that right now.
Yeah, so it looks like there's 6 on one. And then if I look at this one.
7 on the other. I think it's
7 on the
13. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're right.
Okay.
So yeah,
So that's the update there. We pretty much spent our money, I believe. And we reached the goal. So, which then leads to spring planting planning. If the best way to kind of assess that, if we go in to these ones that are just removed, is how much they've rotted or how big the stumps were. We've always kind of let Ben make that judgment because they're the ones digging.
Right.
But we can certainly springboard the planning off of this list. And what I was going to just bounce off everybody is for this one, although it's kind of hard to do in the winter with snow on the ground, but in your travels, if you can just make make some notes of some spots that you see that could use trees. And we've done this before. We haven't done it in a while. So it's kind of a, if everybody kind of puts their eyes out on the street at the same time, makes a list, we compile it. I have no problem of compiling it myself. And then we see what then makes the best sense logistically for planting, and take it from there and do our 55 to 60 trees, and then whatever's left over is gets added to the next list for the next season. We haven't done that in a while, and so now we're this last planting, we sort of, I won't say we scraped it together, but we were able to get the 55 to 60 trees. But obviously this year's was a little bit different. Now that we have 2 more members on the tree board, that's potentially 7 sets of eyes out on the street to make some notes. So does everybody okay with that idea?
Yeah, but I have no objections, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's neighborhood, has it. And granted, Nick me and Matt are on basically on the same block, but you know, Nick and I have pointed things out to each other that the other have completely missed that were, you know, right next to our houses sometimes. So, if everyone can just, you know, make notes between now and maybe the next meeting or even, you know, March's meeting, it would be March's meeting. But, you know, the month of March is usually the month that we start putting the list together to get it ready for approval in April for the trees going in May. So yeah, just, you know, do what you can there, and we should be able to come up with a list, no problem. And we also have some, I believe there's some leftover sites on, from the last planting. I don't know if they got to mill this year or this past fall. So I know there was some sites on mill. You know, we always think we're you know, close to being done, but we're never really close to being done. Well, we're close to being almost done. How's that?
Yeah.
You're supposed to get in maintenance mode, right?
What's that?
You're getting closer to being in maintenance mode where you replace the ones that pop up and stuff, right?
Right. Well, I think that, you know, we were near that, but this round of removals, which we were behind on, you know, it sort of created a couple areas where there were, you know, there's enough to say that that's a nice stand of trees, like Oak Grove for one, you know,
Yeah.
and then there were a couple other removals further down Oak Grove. So it's, you know, again, it's as we call it, a project street for that planting. So,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna hang on a second. I'm gonna make a note here.
Did you guys approve the minutes from the December 7th?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry about that.
Forget it.
All right, did everybody get those?
I saw him.
Okay, I'll second to approve the minutes from December 7th, 2020.
Yeah, I can't suggest that you accept them. I was just reminding you.
No, yeah, thank you. Is there a second on that?
I second.
I'll second that.
All right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, I'm a little rusty, Al. You see that? I almost forgot the
All
terminology.
right. I had to go back to the agenda myself. And I was like, wait, did I miss something?
Yeah, wait, yeah. I didn't even, I was like, all in favor. Oh, yeah, that's what you say.
Well, you were making a note. I interrupted. I didn't want to forget it either.
Oh, no, thank you. That would have been a horrible oversight. So I'm just writing a note, just, you know, members will, you know, scan sites in their areas. For spring planting. And if anybody walks Main Street, I know, Nick, I know you do. I don't walk it all that much. I know it's bad, but just try and, as we found that, you know, when you're driving it, the trees look okay from the street side, but sometimes we've come across ones that are like, you know, they'll be dead up the whole backside and nobody ever caught it. You know, as we roll into spring here and they start leafing out, if anybody walks Maine, just, if you think of it, just take a glance at some of these and see if you can spot anything.
Hey, Dan. Dan, this is Matt. I don't know if this is a tree board thing or a different committee, but I was thinking for Christmas time, all those trees on Main Street, it would be cool to light them up. I don't know, that might be beautification or something like that, but I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, I can give you the history of it. It would be a beautification thing, most likely. It didn't really get promoted because we wanted to keep people from getting too crazy decorating those trees while they were not so mature. We didn't want decorations and lights and stapled and hung all over the younger trees to and beat them up. And it does affect them. Now, the ones we planted, 8 and 10 years ago now, or whatever it was, could probably handle it, no problem. But you will, like, for example, what's that hair salon down near Leon?
The other side of the street, Capello?
Yeah, Capello's. They had their older trees. They had lights around them the trees were growing into the lights, and the trees were actually being choked by the wires. So it's if we're gonna do it, I think it looks great. I think Kenmore looks phenomenal when they do it, but Kenmore was a little further along than us on that, on their trees, on the young trees. But it's something that we would have to keep an eye on it. That's all,
And we also have the issue of power for all those lights. And I know the beautification committee would love to light them all up. But we'd have to find the power for those trees too.
Right. And, right. So it just, I guess what would have to happen if it did is then maybe we have to step in on some type of joint effort with beautification and code enforcement, essentially, for just to craft some type of guideline. So there aren't, extension cords laying across sidewalks and whatnot, or hanging ahead, or however, they would want to deal with that. If it's done fairly well, or, not completely haphazardly, I don't know. I'm willing to turn my head on it a bit, but you kind of have to, if we were to promote something like that, then we kind of own it in a way, and have to be careful in a litigious society. But I like the idea. I always have. I always tried to steer it away from it, just for the fact that the trees were young. And you put a lot of weight in ornaments, and before you know it, people are hanging all kinds of stuff all over them, and then they're bending and breaking, and then they get misshaped. And excuse me, we just wanted to get the trees to a certain point in size. And I think, we're probably at that point now. So good idea.
Yeah, makes sense. Nice.
So, I mean, Al, is it something that we, hey, Rich.
Hello, how are you?
There he is.
I'm a little late tuning in.
Welcome, Rick. Happy New Year.
I'll add you to the attendee list. We're kind of not quite wrapping up, but close. So Al, that's something to remember for coming up on next year's planning, right?
Yeah.
For decorating, and I think it'd be safe to say though that would be partially beautification, correct?
Yeah, I guess it could be it may be a joint venture as far as, I don't know if DPW would need to put some of those lights up, or if beautification could do it with, some supervision or guidance from the tree board even as far as which trees to put them up on,
Right.
right?
Well, maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe that's the way to consider it rather than, there's a lot of trees. So maybe we try it in the core for the first year or something, and run our own
Hey,
because
Al,
Yes, sir.
just
I-
Al and Dan, just remember beautification is 70-year-old women. They're not going up on ladders.
No. And neither are we. So
I just see the biggest problem with that as being the source of power
Yeah.
for all those.
Yeah,
trees. That would be the big issue, I think.
Yeah.
LEDs have come a long way these days. I don't know if you get battery power might be. I don't know how practical that is, but it's
Yeah.
potentially possible, right?
I mean, a solar
Well-
powered light would be great if we could source something like that. That'd be awesome. But
Yeah,
Right.
they have that string of, I put some up in my backyard. They're called fairy lights. It's like a real thin copper cabling that have the lights wound
Right.
into it. And, I mean, I put them up in the spring and I left them. So I'll give you the report next spring to see and let you know if they're still working or not. They're not that expensive. And they come with a little, solar panel. Some of them flash, some of them don't. Some of them reset themselves whenever they want. So you could have a plethora of flashing schemes going on. It might look cool.
Maybe
but-
we should reach out to another municipality that lights their street trees. And
Yeah.
how they should do it.
Yeah. Oh God.
'Cause I think Ellicottville does it.
Elgiville does. It's beautiful down there for sure.
Yeah.
And Kenmore does it. Pat Mang isn't in office anymore. And I don't know if Katie Bird's on the board anymore or not. I went to high school. Yeah, it's worth it. Right. We could touch base with them.
Yes, yeah, they handle it. And
I think East Aurora does a fair amount too.
Yeah, I could see them doing it too.
They may just string them from tree to tree and get the power off the poles. And
I was gonna say, you should be able to drop it off our poles that we plug in the wreaths, the pole lights,
right,
and then drop it down, and like you said, branch it out in either direction, depending where the pole.
right, and string it from tree to tree.
Yeah, and just run it from top to top or whatever.
Well,
I could just hear what Ben's gonna say.
Yeah, right.
well,
I'm gonna say beautification and tree board, this is a great idea. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah.
he would say, and after that, what else would you like me to do, sir?
Right.
Yep,
That's what he's gonna say. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that up in our new business. The old business, one of the things that we've been, well, does anybody have anything else new?
Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan, when we were talking with Ben, I mentioned that one resident on my side of the street, and now that Matt's on the tree board, he's gonna hear this too. He's got the dead ash trees down by the creek, and he asked to have them removed. Now, this gentleman told me that he's willing to pay for the removal and plant new trees. And Ben said that's pretty much can be done. He just wants to see a certificate of insurance from whatever contractor he uses to take the trees down. Do you recall that conversation?
Yes.
Okay. And
talked about it.
I think there's one other homeowner that has dead ash trees on his property right at the creek bed, and he's been asking, how does he get them removed? And I don't know, I can't remember what Ben said, because there was a question to these property owners, do they own all the way down to the creek? Or do they own to maybe anywhere from 10 to 15 from the actual creek bed, and the rest is village property?
I believe they own halfway into the creek.
I know that I do, Julian, because of my survey. Al,
Right.
would you know the answer to that question?
I had checked, because I remember that question came up a couple of meetings ago, and maybe the when we met in the pavilion, and I asked Chip about removal of the trees, I believe are the people you're talking about, and he was saying that we had to do it, the village had to do it, and the village would have to unfortunately even plant them for whatever reason.
All right. well, then-
Yeah,
then-
some of the guys across the street from me have said that they don't own that like last 15 feet or something like that. So I think it all depends on which lot they're on,
Yeah, I think the line may run, but there is an easement or a right of way that probably is those trees would fall in with that. So, I mean, Ben may have spoken offline after the board meeting, because I brought it up in the board meeting and asked Chip. And I think Chip and Judy both said that unfortunately they can't take them down, even in the right of way, because I think there were some in the front too, he was willing to just take away.
Yeah, and Ben did take down, in that case, Al, Ben did remove the one in the right of way on the street. But
Okay.
I guess the question is, especially now, the two people that approached me, they both have dead ash trees right at the creek bed, and they say they should come down. And I guess there's 2 points to this. Either the village, whomever, takes them down, or they wait until they fall into the creek, and then the village is going to have to yank them out of the creek and cut them
Yeah.
up.
So those probably should have been on this list for us to remove, or we should add them to the list if there's money in the budget. Or if not, we should try to move money around to get it done if they're that
Ye-
far along.
So,
Yeah, I would-
Dan, hey, Dan,
Yeah.
perhaps we coordinate with Ben and walk that, I was always told it was an easement, starting from the back of Ed Young's, where that gate has been locked for decades. But walk behind all those homes and see how many dead ash trees we potentially have down there. And if Chip feels that it's the village's responsibility to take them down, we're gonna have to budget and plan for that.
Yeah, we might, and we could probably get a good look at it from the island as well. Not as accurate, but, and
Well,
that's
how about
just,
if If you guys grab Ben and walk with Ben, as long as that way you have somebody, that's a village employee walking with you, if the 3 of you guys wanted to walk it one day.
my suggestion for this would be to handle it like in a case by case basis, because they're all going to be different. And there are probably some where, let's just say there's 2 trees, one will be on our property and one will be on their property.
Mhm.
So we can't, how it goes. As soon as you start make a promise to one person, or, and then it becomes kind of a free for all expectation. And so if we're not going to be able to get into where, they sign off and have somebody remove them, which Chip didn't think that was a good idea, even if the insurance was covered.
Yeah, you felt like it's on our property, because I remember asking, because I remember thinking, this is a great situation that, we don't have to expend village money if the homeowner's willing to take care of the trees. So I can go back and double check, but I'm almost certain he said no to both of them.
Okay. Well, if
Well,
they're willing to sign off on everything, like in this, in this one case,
Right.
If they're willing to sign off and provide the insurance or make sure that the contractor has the insurance, I I don't know, I don't know, I guess,
I don't have a problem with it.
yeah,
I can bring it back on Monday about the ones on the creek.
Yeah, well, you know, I told both of these guys, they should check their survey, and if the trees are on their land, just take them down. Because
Yeah.
the property, their trees, take them down and, you know, don't even be concerned with the village.
Yeah.
right,
Well, and maybe.
But if it's village property, then, you know, the burden is upon us, especially if they're dead trees, to get them the heck out of there.
Yeah, you know, the guy across the street from me told me, you know, he's lived there. He grew up in the house. And he said when he was a kid, there was actually a pathway back there that anyone could
Right.
walk on. So that was all just village land, you know, and they weren't allowed to do anything with that little part. That people would just freely walk back there and everything.
And
Right,
then the gate
that,
went up.
that, I'm not sure, because I also heard it was just an easement. And the easement was granted in case the fire department had to access anything on the east side of the, well, that gate up behind the Ed Young Plaza, I'm told has been locked for decades, and nobody may not even know where the key is to open it up. So, yeah, but the kids used to have free reign, and they'd run behind up there, up to the plaza, et cetera, et cetera. But the question is, whose land is it? Is it either village property, or do these people have these people just granted an easement to the village?
If I had to guess from thinking back, it may have also been a concern that if we allow them, then that opens the gate for anybody to just start taking down trees along the creek without really kind of checking back in with the village. So it may have been some of that concern as well. If we let these people just take the tree down, I know we should have them get permission, but do we also open the gate to just let anybody remove trees when they think that it needs to come down?
Yeah, but if it's private property, there's nothing that
Oh,
either
yeah,
the
of course.
board or the village can do about it.
Yeah.
And in the case that we talked about earlier, initially last year, this guy's willing, once the trees are out of there, to put his hand in his pocket and pay for new trees, which we do not want to hinder anybody that wants to plant trees, especially in such a strategic and needed location as a creek bed.
Absolutely.
But he's not a happy camper.
Yeah.
I think we could, probably settle this by looking at the, having Ben look at the Erie County survey map, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We may find that all of those yards go into the creek. And then
No,
this is,
very few of them. I think my property, Dan, is the only one south of the bridge that goes into the creek.
oh, okay.
In fact, I'm going to build a little stand out into the creek this year and sell whiskey and hors d'oeuvres to kayakers to the economy.
You could maybe even depending on how narrow it is, you could set up a toll booth.
I'm thinking about that too. But I think that was a great suggestion to have Ben check the whatever survey to see if we got to start to find out who owns that property, and then we can form the proper position and make a decision.
Right next to your chair.
No, I.
So maybe then with that in coordination with this property owner that wants to, and back to the, the case by case, in spirit of the case by case, I'm sure they have a copy of their survey readily available. They just built the place.
Right.
Maybe just in conjunction with them, we just, check county survey versus theirs and determine what's going on there.
Okay. Well, on that note, Dan, do you want me to reach out to the property owner to see where his frame of mind is at this point in time about these trees?
Yes. And if he could, if he can get the survey, we could easily walk one of his side lines with Ben with the wheeler and figure out exactly where the line ends, where the property ends.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that address?
All right. Well,
What's their
Watch,
address?
they'll be half and half.
Remember, you wanted to say for a little while.
Yeah,
I want to stay.
Okay.
We're gonna stay. Fun. Stay.
They'll watch, like I said, they'll be half and half, and we'll be stuck like that one in Garrison Park. Nobody wanted to. It was like a
Make it happy.
standoff.
Yeah, it's not just make us happy.
Yeah, Nick, what's the address?
Yeah.
What's the address of that property?
Thank you, buddy.
that one is 79.
79, okay,
Yeah, and the other one that has approached me, Al, is 119.
okay.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll do.
And the other one was at 119.
Yeah,
Right.
So, can we agree that we should probably really though handle this on a case by case basis?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
so we may have to have them basically have a recommendation from the tree board that you or Ben have inspected these trees, and then have the homeowner basically say what they're willing to do, and have Judy and Chip say what needs to be done legally from that perspective.
Right.
So everything's official, I suppose. We have to keep the lawyers in business.
Why?
Yeah.
Right?
It
Somebody-
pays off sometimes, Al.
I know.
Okay, anything else with on new business at all? New I have one more thing on old business, but anybody else? No?
No?
Okay, I did talk to Ben about the survey update, and he did say that 2 summers ago, and I do remember this because I was still on the board, that we did have interns come in and do some updating. So those tree surveys have been updated to some degree. 2.5 years ago now. So at least we're not, as far behind as we thought. And it's not, I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive survey, and it won't be hard to update. And we've kept pretty stringent records of what we've planted. So I don't think there's any worries there. It's just a matter of putting it all together when this whole thing passes. But again, he used interns 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years ago,
Mhm.
and it got a bit of an update. So
So where is it then, Dan?
it's in the it's in that that link. And to be honest, I don't know I don't think you can get to it. I'll have him send us the link. We had it at one time. I bet you if you search your
Right.
emails, it's in there somewhere. But we're a newly reformed committee, so I'll get it out to all the current members.
Okay.
And,
Hey,
I'll
Al,
write
Al, you think maybe that's something that Keaton can help us find if we don't know exactly where it is?
That tree update?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you-
Ben knows where it is.
Oh.
He
Okay, good. All right.
he goes to it for certain things when he's looking at
Right.
for certain issues or whatever is going on with removals and whatnot. So
All right, good. All right, that's good news.
okay. Well, if nobody has anything else, just check the calendar here. What's the first Monday?
February 1st?
February 1st.
Wow.
6:30 is good for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I'm assuming we'll be doing it via Zoom still. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here again, and nice work. And like I said, and Rich, just let me bring you missed it when we were talking about the spring planting. We were talking about just each individual member making a scratch list essentially of what, what they can see where we might need trees. I know you're always really good at that, and you're kind of the guardian of the northern central.
Okay.
And there's nobody else in the tree board in that area now. So, but there's spots still, right? So in your area, so we'll compile it all and then see what makes sense logistically when it comes to the springtime. The removals were kind of in the in my area actually, concentrated, and then what was it? Well, North Lawn, kind of in the center, but yeah, we could probably use a good little shot in the arm in that central north part, because we haven't really been back on the streets except for North Ellicott in a while. And that's about it. So I will motion to adjourn.
Okay, Dan, can I jump
sure.
in with a last minute question
Sure.
or comment? I haven't seen that many trees that need to be taken down, but I see lots of trees that are still damaged from, the winter storm 8 years ago. And if we could get things trimmed, I think we'd save a lot of trees still.
All right.
There's a lot of damaged trees, from years ago.
Make
and
it.
The wounds keep, keep increasing.
Make notes, because now is the time. Whenever I see anything like that, when I notice it, I'll make notes and keep it on that removal list, or let Ben know if it's an emergency situation. He'll send them out. But this is the time of year to spot that stuff, right? So
Okay.
And there's a lot of stuff like Mill, right? We cleaned up Mill pretty well that one year when we concentrated on
Yes.
that. So keep an eye on that stuff too. We could recommend that the DPW and Ben will do it. Just pay extra attention this winter, and see what they can come up with the cleaning up. It's could be a budget issue this year. I don't know exactly where our removal or maintenance lines are at, but we spent a decent amount of money on removals this year. So, but compile lists, right? That's what we've been doing for 15 years, and we eventually get to them. So,
Numbers, if you guys want, for the next meeting, or where we are today on our budget.
Sure. I'm gonna just write that down. Thank you, Al.
Sure.
Okay, so if everybody else good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I motioned to adjourn. Julian seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you again, gentlemen.
All right.
This committee's a good one to be on. I'm proud to be part of it. So thank you.
Okay, Dan, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Go Bills.
Yes.